So something you say often is companies don't rise to their goals, they rise to their systems. In your world, what does that look like?
Sure. So the SOP has been the big topic of conversation over the last few years as we've seen various ads for softwares and AI and systems that will help us write our SOPs and organize our systems. We see them all the time. What the ads don't say is the SOP is the bare minimum. It's actually the starting line, not the finish line.
What if the biggest revenue opportunity in real estate is hiding in plain sight, and most companies are too overwhelmed, too unstructured, or too intimidated to grab it? Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable, where we break down the strategies to move makers, build wealth, and elevate the next generation of real estate leaders. I'm your host, Lancelot Lenard, top producer with Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, and leader of the Sir Lancelot Group. Today's guest is someone who has quietly but powerfully shaped how property management companies compete and scale. I'm talking about James M. Davis, founder and CEO of Awarded, the consulting firm behind some of the most impressive government contact wins in the industry. With 17 plus years in real estate operations, James has helped organizations secure multi-million dollar federal and municipal RFPs, transforming them from reactive operators into disciplined, scalable growth machines. If you've ever wondered why some firms explode while others stall, why structure beats hustle, or how government RFPs can unlock massive long term revenue, this episode is your blueprint. Let's dive in. James, your story starts long before Awarded. Take us back. What was the moment when you realized that the way property management companies grow is fundamentally broken?
Sure. Yeah. It started when it was just myself and a CEO in his offices growing his branch to a new location. That's where the story starts. And I recognized that he was an amazing sales figure. He was able to talk to anyone, start any conversation, and really help people feel comfortable and warm up to him immediately. And that our biggest hurdle was supplying the systems to support all of these units that he was bringing into the organization. That was the light bulb for me that holy cow, there's got to be a better way. I think we can design a better way.
What did that experience teach you about the difference between motion and progress?
Absolutely. It taught me a couple of key things. One, it's harder than we think it is. It takes longer than we think it is. It's more expensive than we think, and we're not the exception. That key element has carried over into every role that I have worked in. That was a turning point for sure.
So, something you say often is companies don't rise to their goals, they rise to their systems. In your world, what does that look like?
Sure. So the SOP has been the big topic of conversation over the last few years as we've seen various ads for softwares and AI and systems that will help us write our SOPs and organize our systems. We see them all the time. What the ads don't say is the SOP is the bare minimum. It's actually the starting line, not the finish line. And so it's a great metric for this is what complete looks like. This is what done looks like in our organization. And the next piece of that, the next iteration of that is how many times a day can I get this done? Or what isn't in the SOP yet? Because we know businesses evolve and processes evolve. What isn't in that SOP yet that I can then design into the system that would solve this headache or that headache that's further down the line?
What does SOP stand for?
Standard operating procedure. So
Just
when
making
you're
sure.
yeah, when you're writing one, sometimes it needs to be detailed step by step. Sometimes it's training as well as the steps. I find the most helpful ones to be an outline, an overview of the steps, unless you're in a position, unless that SOP is for a staff member who is brand new, then it helps to have it as a training guide as well.
I recently interviewed a coach and we were talking about SOPs. And if you guys don't know how to start on something like that, besides asking AI, there is another way. Write down everything you do in your day, process to process, and then plug that into the AI, and it will make you an SOP. Basically, from your successful everyday business, correct? Am I mistaken with that? You take everything down. It's like, hey, I make phone calls from 8 to 10, and then I meet clients this point to this point. I do paperwork here and blah, blah, blah. So basically, everything you do in a day, you write it down, and then you plug it into the AI and ask it to write you a basic SOP. And that way, you already have systems written down, and you can use those. That's one of the things I've learned recently from one of my interviews, because I was like, God, I don't have an SOP. I have no idea how I do my business. I just run it the way I've always ran it.
Absolutely.
And if you want to scale to the point where you can sell your business, SOPs are really important for that.
Absolutely. And I think some people here, holy, especially at your level, at the executive level here, holy cow, I need to write down all the things I do in the day. And I do, on a soft day, I'm doing 60, 75 different things. I think you nailed it right on the head, that number one, the time blocking is really important. I do this task from this time to this time. In property management in particular, that's exactly when the fire happens, is from that time to that time when you've got something else booked. So what I've found for my workflow is to put in my calendar what I'm actively doing at specific times. And then I can go back and say, okay, these are the pain points. I don't need to write a process for everything that happened in my week. But if I can write 2 or 3 processes for what I did this last week, then I can start to document all of this information in a way that I can hand off to my assistant, or I can hand off to a new team member.
And what's the number one operational mistakes that cost property management firms the most money?
It is the focus. It's always the focus. It comes from a lot of firms are small. They're operating lean because they've got really great, powerful sales teams that are getting the sales, but the money doesn't flow in at the time we take on the property sometimes. Sometimes it's 2 months down the road before that money flows in. Then what we have is executive teams running applications, going to showings, meeting with a resident, because that's the person who can absorb the additional work while still maintaining some version of functionality within the business. But that's where the overflow goes. And that's the number one opportunity to really take the retained earnings, hire that new leasing agent early, hire that new marketing manager before you really need them. And that will allow the organization to grow smoothly and protect the brand during the growth.
What's the early warning signs that a company is outgrowing its systems?
If the biggest one is if you wouldn't pay your salary to do a particular task, if that task is not worth your salary as the CEO, then you shouldn't be doing it. And if you find that you're doing it while you're watching the football game, it's mindless to the CEO. You can multitask while you're knocking out this list. If you find yourself doing, that's the key sign that this system is broken. If you find yourself working 12 hours a day and you haven't seen your spouse in a couple of weeks, that's not what we're after. That's probably not what we're after. You are missing your kids' soccer games that, in your head are really important to you. Okay, then we've got a broken system and it's time to get some help.
That was one of the things I've learned from my awesome coach is figure out how to delegate. And you got to start delegating, because if you don't, you're just creating more and more jobs for yourself and you get burnt out. You have to find people to replace you in certain positions. And what he did to me was the same thing, is write down everything in your day for 7 days. And then we went through the list. He's like, cross off. These are $10, $15 hour jobs. Dude, you're CEO. Why are you data inputting? For God's sakes, in an Excel sheet. Why are you doing stuff like that? And then the cheapskate comes out of every CEO. Because I could do it. Why not me? Why hire someone to do it? Because I'm going to save $30. But then you're taking away from the skill set that you're actually good at. And you're giving it to this skill that you really don't need to do anymore. And instead of growing the business, you're just doing stuff in the business. And you might feel a quick relief because you're getting some satisfaction out of that. It's like, oh, I achieved something today. I knocked some stuff out of the list. But you don't look at, because you make one list of items to do, and then there's an actual list of items that you should be doing. And instead of doing these hard tasks that are actually would generate you more business, et cetera, you're just lean on the smaller stuff and say that I accomplished a bunch of stuff today.
Right.
No, isn't that one of those things?
That's exactly what happens. And it almost feels good that you've accomplished 100 little things, and then you look at your to-do list, and if your to-do list is in any kind of priority order, and the things you're prioritizing quarterly or yearly are the things that are really going to transform the business and move it forward, then you truly recognize the value of that misstep. So you saved $30, but stepped over hundreds of dollars because you didn't implement that new revenue stream that would have whatever. And not you specifically. I'm saying
it's me too, man. It's me too. Every day I commit that mistake because it gives you like instant gratification. It's like
absolutely
people liking your stuff on Facebook. It's the same thing in business. As I have the stack of receipts here on my desk for 2 months now, and I haven't gotten to it. I shouldn't be doing that. Why am I having all these receipts here? Why isn't this with a data entry person in the Philippines? Hey, put these in order, make sure, or an accountant firm or whatever. You guys should be taking care of this stuff.
Yeah, and your entire C-suite should be sending out those receipts to someone else. A picture, somebody else can put it into a form. But it's not just the CEO that is losing hours by doing some of these tasks. It's also the C-suite, the directors, even some of the managers are losing valuable hours by tracking every receipt and getting it into the system.
I know. The reason why I haven't gotten to that point is that, taking a picture, finding a person, number one, that's like the hardest part. Once you find the person, okay, it's semi-simpler, but still, if the person is not working out of your office, meaning you don't see them day to day in the operations, but working remotely, then you taking the picture and emailing that to the person of the receipt, I'm like, that took me 15 minutes to accomplish that. Because some days I work in construction too. I'm also a licensed contractor. So we get some days I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 receipts. And I'm like, doing this job is because I'm the one picking up the receipts.
Right.
It is in my mind, and this is probably wrong. Okay. Don't get me. I'm like, it would just take me the same time to just enter it myself.
Sure. Yeah. And it would have taken you the same time, but it would have taken you a different level of mental energy. And
correct.
That mental energy is the value for a lot of people. That freedom is the value.
Getting that extra RAM inside your brain to operate on different levels. Correct.
100%.
Correct. Let's get into the topic most people avoid but shouldn't. RFPs.
Okay. Sure.
You call them the growth engine hiding in plain sight. Why are RFPs such a massive opportunity that so many operators completely misunderstand?
Yeah. So the secret that's built into the RFP.
And one more second. What is an RFP?
Sure. A request for proposal. So we'll spend just a moment here. The government issues requests for proposals, and in the state of California, at least, it's anytime something that they need to purchase is over a certain dollar amount. Something, if a service is over $250,000, for example, then the municipality has to open the bid up to allow organizations to come in and submit. And through that submission process, there's a selection process. There's an evaluation criteria that's built into the RFP so that the government organization can then rate which vendor is the best vendor for a given project. And they can do honestly. It's not based on handshakes. It's not based on some of the other nepotism that maybe previously existed in this realm.
Got you. And then what separates a losing proposal from a winning one?
Yeah. So the secret in RFPs, most firms treat RFPs like a one off proposal. They submit, they cross their fingers, they hope, and they move on. And that's backwards. The secret is treating RFPs as a business plan for growth. So they've got the opportunity through this RFP to build their systems into their proposal, and at the same time, then they'll have a plan for when these units come on. So we talked earlier about phenomenal salespeople, right? And salespeople are usually not operations people. And one thing I continue to say is you can't outsell your bad operations.
That is so true.
So,
You carry it for a little while, but then you're like, oh.
right, yeah. But then you're missing your kid's soccer game.
Exactly. I had that happen to me in 2022, a few years ago, and it was just busy running around. And I started growing my team that year as well. But I'll tell you the truth, there's so many ungrateful people in this world. And you hire people out of the school, teach them everything, and then 6 months later, after they made $40,000-$50,000 in a few months, this is the text message I got when I asked him, hey, would you start calling the people I'm sending you? And would you start working your own sphere of influence, not just piggybacking off all the leads I'm sending you? The answer was this: oh, you're just money hungry. You just see the dollar signs in me. I'm like, dude, I just spent 40 grand for you to make 40 grand. That's not a good trade. And I taught you during the whole process.
Sure.
Ungrateful. It's just tough. In real estate, it's a little bit an ego war between person and person. I bet you it's probably the same in your world. Salespeople are salespeople. It's all ego driven at that point, I think.
Yeah, hopefully not in the RFP world, but yeah, it does come up. It does come up, particularly in the sales rep. Healthy competition, hopefully,
Yeah.
and there are certainly examples of the unhealthy competition.
No, healthy competition is totally fine. To reach a certain point in your career, healthy competition is what you thrive on.
Yes,
That makes it exciting. If you wouldn't have to go and present something and win the deal, it wouldn't be fun anymore.
it wouldn't be fun. It'd be too easy.
You get to a point where the only thing that actually excites me is when there's competition that I would have to outperform.
Sure.
Because you know that you're at that level already, that look, I could probably beat everybody in my sphere at that particular thing because I've been doing it for so long. So when someone else comes up and sticks it to you, you're like, I have to get better, which will then motivate you to get better, and you can move forward into a better realm of the business.
Definitely.
For someone listening right now, what step one to even enter into an RFP world? What steps should someone take?
Yeah, they should have their systems dialed in as closely as they possibly can. And it doesn't need to be perfection before you bid. That's not what I'm saying. But you should have some systems already created. And the reason for that is then we want to take those same systems to bid on the RFP. And the key about that is not creating brand new systems for this RFP. These should be the systems that already exist in the business. They're already developed. Our team is already executing them as a habit. And then we can almost copy and paste and apply them to the RFP.
Got you. One of your strengths is helping companies take what they already know and translate it into language evaluators. What's the magic behind turning expertise into measurable, win-ready proposal content?
I think it is the expertise is having the system that flows into the next advancement. So each RFP is slightly different, and we want to gather as many of the systems as we can from the current business working platform and reframe them in the best light. Sometimes organizations are a great fit for an RFP, but they just can't quite get the words put together in the 75-page document. And let me touch on that for just half a second here. These proposals that are being sent back are 75 pages. So plus in many instances. So if the branding, if the messaging is inconsistent, if you're copying and pasting from previous RFPs into the current one, you're going to need some sort of quality control across all 75 pages so that they're all sending the same message, as opposed to 15 different because they came from different writers, different times, different whatever. So I think that's the secret is having the systems in place, writing those systems in a way that somebody outside of property management can understand how it works, because these are chosen by committee. They aren't chosen by fellow peers necessarily. They're chosen by government committee. Reframing them in a way that makes it easy to understand, and then putting it into a document in a way that someone can really go through that table of contents and find the key elements that they're concerned about. So the CFO at the housing authority can flip immediately to the financials page and see how much it's going to cost, what kind of reporting we do, have those key elements all laid out.
Awesome, man. So what surprises clients the most when they learn what evaluators actually care about?
I think what surprises people most is that these documents get read.
That does surprise me. Are you kidding me? It's like reading a book every time. How many of these you get? Like 15, 20 of these at least? You're like, that's 1,500 pages.
Yeah.
You're reading Kiss, Bow, Shake Hands all over again. And you're like, oh, this is all stuff I don't even understand. I'm reading it.
Yeah, using the evaluation criteria, and then, like I said, the CFO will look at the financials and essentially thumbs up, thumbs down. This is my grading. An operations expert will look at the operations of the company. Somebody else will vet the insurance and the business license and the references that were provided, similar portfolio work. So not each one is read by everybody on the board, but the committee is looking at their respective interests of each RFP.
Got you. Why do so many teams under-document their success?
Because that fire happens whenever that fire happens, and it feels like it's going to burn you. And we don't have fire extinguishers on hand, and we don't have the wet blanket ready to go. We don't have the systems in place to confidently put out that fire so that the C-suite can focus specifically on the roles that they're supposed to be focused on. Instead, they're responding to fires that the property manager, the literal property manager, the site manager, the regional manager can actually handle. But that monkey gets passed up the chain until somebody takes care of it.
I have a friend that will greatly benefit from this podcast because he's like right in those shoes. Like, he's the CEO, he's running the company, he has people working underneath him, and it's always it gets bumped up to him most of the time. All the issues, even if it's just a question. Think about this: you're a CEO, you're in the middle of a meeting and brainstorming, expanding, et cetera, and then you get the phone call from your property manager. It's like, "Hey, what should I do now? The stove burnt down." There should be a system in place for what she should do instead of calling the CEO and asking him what to do, because now you break all your focus and concentration, and now you're putting that concentration into that. It's not a nominal thing, but it is a nominal thing because it happens. That there should be something figured out. Is okay, if that happened, this is what you need to do, and don't call the CEO. It's like number one, don't ever call the CEO for any issues. You call the CEO once a week to report to him on what's going on. No, like that. It should be like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of property management firms are small enough and are social people. The CEOs are social people. So they're very approachable and you can ask them questions and they want to help. And CEOs as a whole need to do a better job of saying, that sounds like a leasing question. Please go ask the leasing manager. Or that sounds like a maintenance question. Please go ask the maintenance manager. Because the other thing that I've seen as companies double and triple is that CEO hasn't leased a unit in 3 years. They don't know what the leasing process is anymore. And not because of any fault of theirs. They're just focused on a different portion, or they should be focused on a different portion of the business by now. They should be separate. There's 4 roles between that leasing agent and the CEO who walks through the office and says good morning to everybody. But the CEOs are so quick to answer because they are answering all day. They're getting to the quick answers all day so that they can get the reps in for the day and solve some problems within the organization. When the real problem they should be solving is that they're getting the leasing question to begin with. You Correct. Know what? That's not my area of expertise. Please ask the leasing manager and they'll ask whoever else. And if we really need someone to make a decision, yes, I'll make that decision. But this at least should start going through the funnel before it comes to me.
It's always mind-boggling how you progress in the business world. And you get to that level and you're still solving issues on the bottom level. And and it's not, you are always, as you said, approachable, kind. I always think of these movies when the CEO walks down and everybody's like scared. I'm not saying that's the right thing, okay, guys? But that's how it should be. They shouldn't be coming up to you, asking you questions about how to solve a plumbing issue. That is not your job to answer. There should be someone in between, a buffer person or 2 or 3 even, that they can go to and talk to instead of talking to you. That's where I'm trying to get to. It's like there's always should be levels of, hey, that's not my job. I am not here to fix a plumbing issue anymore. I've done that for 5 years of my life or whatever, 10 years or 15 years until I grew the company to a point where I don't need to do that anymore. Even though I'll do it and I'll get you the solution. Here's my plumbers. Boop, call the plumber, whatever. But that's not what you should be focusing on at that point. And now we're getting into scaling. Scaling is really exciting until it isn't. No? How do companies grow fast without overwhelming their teams or damaging culture?
Sure. You treat that RFP like it's a business plan instead of it being a sales pitch. You treat it like a business plan. You internalize, what are we going to do? Who are we going to promote? What changes do we need to make in our structure when we bring on these next 1,000 units? Because if we don't have a plan for that, it's going to be chaos. And it's probably already going to be chaos, but let's manage what we can manage going into it. And again, that comes back to protecting the brand. If we grow before we're able to provide that service, our Google reviews are going to take a hit. We're going to have a hard time using this new client as a reference for future clients. This whole branding piece of this, protecting that brand, is really important, especially in a world where property managers can't get a 4-point rating to save their lives just because of the dichotomy of the model. It has nothing to do with their actual performance. But treating that as a business plan. Another key element I see organizations struggle with is when they change software, they don't hire someone on to facilitate that change. They're expecting their teams to run their portfolios flawlessly, provide great customer service, return every email same day, be available for the owners for whatever might come up from the owners, and learn and train their whole team on a brand new software. That
Got you.
that's just too much. Let's plan this out. Let's bring on somebody so that we can actually do this.
It makes total sense. Anytime you're changing, that's a massive change, especially in property management, like changing
Yeah.
your softwares and stuff. Leadership alignment, would you like to talk about that? Maybe how AI can help, not replace?
Sure. Yeah, I think the alignment of that leadership is absolutely crucial. And one of the things Awarded offers is offsite consulting. So it starts as a 1 day, just getting to know everybody, figure out if it's a good fit, probably like you did with your coach. And you spent some time with your coach to figure out whether or not this is the right fit for you, if they can provide value, and if you are the right fit for them. So one of the things that we offer is this 1 day offsite. It's currently free. We come to your city, we sit down with your executive team, and we talk about all the challenges that are facing the organization. We try to rate the challenges and figure out what's most important. I just got back from one in Florida a couple of weeks ago. I was there for the Build Expo, and I did one of these offsites. And we listed out her top 8 priorities. And then we said, which one of these is number one? And how do we solve number one this quarter? The other 7 still exist. We're going to need to solve those at some point, but let's focus on number one. And that's the method in which we do to get that leadership aligned up front. And then anything else, it's the doing it over and over again. So we're aligned for Q4 in that business. Everything's ready to go. And in January or February, we'll need to do another one so that we can, if you've ever woken up and you're like, man, I really don't want to go to the office today. It's time for one of these offsites because what I've seen is people get stressed out because it feels so heavy and the to-do list gets into the triple digits and you're just like, I don't know this is all important. I don't know how I would ever get through all of this. And that's where it helps to have some perspective from somebody else who's done it, who knows what's going on, to help prioritize. And then all of a sudden you feel this burst of energy again for those next few months.
Wow. And where do leaders misuse AI?
I think they're misusing. So 2 things. I don't think there is a misuse for AI right now. And I'm gonna add a caveat to that because I feel like we're all learning how AI operates. And part of the process is figuring out the process. And we just don't know. So I think the short answer is try it out, see what's working for you, keep an eye on your reporting metrics. If you start to see your metrics, your KPIs dip, and you can tie it back to the use of that AI, there you go. Like there's your clear vision that either the implementation's not right or that particular AI is not right. But I'm a big believer in property management firms trying it out and figuring out where it can fit. I think right now the big scare, and I've had this conversation with housing authorities too, the big scare in AI is the unknown and the scare of the lack of the personal touch. But if you're truly engaged with your owners from the property management company, if you're truly engaged with the owners of the property, you've got open communication with them. Many of my clients are just on Teams. And so we'll chat throughout the day, the whole day. They'll ping me with a question and I'll send an answer back throughout the day. If you're that level of in communication with your clients, then there's you don't have to worry about losing the human element through AI because you're already handling it in other areas. I think that's the concern, and it's a valid concern. I think also, though, there's just ways to work around it.
No, for sure. And AI doesn't always give a straight answer. Or it always gives a straight answer, but it's not always the answer you should be looking for because you didn't ask the right question. I think
Absolutely.
that's where the misuse comes. People are still, as you said, like figuring out AI. You have to figure out how to ask questions too,
Yeah,
not just answer them.
that
Yeah.
prompt is crucial. And if you're in various AIs, the folder hierarchy is really important. The settings and the permissions are really important to get quality answers back. There's a lot that goes into using it.
You're launching new offerings, your starter kit and framework packages designed to help companies win government contracts without burnout. What inspired these tools and who are they built for?
Yeah, so these starter kits are built for anyone who's trying to evaluate whether or not an RFP is right for them. And not all RFPs, but a specific RFP. For example, I had a client who won an RFP recently and ultimately turned it down because the ROI wasn't there. Now, that client went right into writing and skipped the evaluation criteria. They skipped the ROI framework that we offer. They skipped a bunch of those steps and just needed it written. So when we skip those steps, if we find out there's information that's missing, and if we can't make a margin on the RFP, that RFP is not the right one for us. Or if it's in a city that's too far away and I can't figure out how to get my team to be in that city on a regular basis to even get this thing off the ground. Now, there's a lot of things that you can do there, but if that's a true obstacle in securing that RFP, that's not one we should be bidding on. These tools are built to help folks decide whether or not this particular RFP is the right one for them to even invest the time and effort, not to mention financial resources, in securing.
Do you guys also help ground up property management companies? Like, hey, if I would decide today that I want to open a property management company, I mean, I have some clients, I have some properties, but it's not like I built a big base for it. Do you guys help with that as well? Or is it RFP focused?
That would come under our consulting wing. Yeah. So we are involved with some of those smaller unit counts. Most of our clients are in that 1,000 unit count, give or take, and they're trying to get to that 2,000, 3,000. But our consulting services are for property management companies that are just trying to grow.
Okay, cool. For the listeners who want to start today, what's the simplest first step they can take?
In the RFP world, it's going to be to sign up for the RFP search subscriptions that we have. With those subscriptions, there's additional content so searching for an RFP is its own endeavor. There's countless providers who have RFPs all in one location, and many times you are registering for any of those in order to place a bid. We offer subscription services so that by state, you can get all the property management RFPs directly to your email every week by state. So you aren't sifting through New York's RFPs to find Florida's. So that would be, if RFPs the world that you're about to get into, that subscription service would be the first place to go. If you're already in RFPs and you just want to have more ammo as you're going to take on these RFPs, that's where our blue package, our starter kits, are going to help you get the information you need to really analyze these requests and figure out what the next steps are for you. And then our third division is that consulting division. So if you're looking to grow your business, you're saying, hey, maybe I am that really great salesperson, but man, my operations could use some love. Then you can set up those one-on-one calls on our website, awardedrafp.com. You can set up those one-on-one calls. We start with an hour. We just talk about the systems, what's in place, what some of the pain points are. And in that call, we'll solve a few of the problems. And if we want to then book a session, a one-day free session with us, we've got the opportunity to do that too.
That wraps up today's episode of a Real Estate Roundtable. A huge thank you to our guest, James M. Davis, founder and CEO of Awarded, for breaking down the systems, strategies, and RFP frameworks that are literally transforming property management companies nationwide. If you're listening and thinking, we need a better system, better proposals, or better growth engine, head over to awardedrfp.com to grab their new starter kit or apply for a strategy call. Spots fill up fast. As always, I'm Lancelot Lenard, your host and the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, drop a review, and share this with someone in the industry who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay focused, stay structured, and keep winning in real estate. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.